to record this video. Make sure nobody else is trying to get in. No, I'm going to record this because in case you want to watch it again, or some of the people that maybe didn't get the email or confused about Friday instead of Thursday. So what I've done here is I've toned my canvas. I've drawn an egg shape at a slight vertical axis that's somewhat diagonal. And then I've divided this egg shape into thirds. And it's also, instead of being exactly horizontal, these thirds, it's at a slight angle like this, you see? And so this is the brow line, or where the top of the sockets are. This is the bottom of the nose. And I might just put a mark right here of her upper lip, just like that. Simple as that. Now, her, let me take a look at this. We see a little, I think we see just a tad more of this side of her face than this side. So I'm just going to kind of do a vertical axis of showing a little bit more of this side than the other side. So instead of right down the middle, it's just a little bit like that. Kind of like that. Now I've got the egg shape. I'm going to kind of look at this line here where the brow line is, and I'm just going to kind of sketch very generally where her hairline is. And you know, it's not a perfect circle. It just, if you printed out this painting, you know, you can see that this line is straight. This is diagonal like that. The top of her head is pretty straight. Then it comes down like this at a diagonal, and then it goes straight down. You can't remember all this. It's only if you have the painting in front of you. Or maybe you can see, though, maybe you can see what I just did by observing this. But you notice that's diagonal that way. This is straight. This is diagonal down. This is straight. And then it's diagonal down to her shoulder line. So try not to just, you know, do a round shape, because some people do hair just as a round shape. And unless you have a hairstyle like that, most people's hair is not perfectly round, wrapping around their skull. It's got a shape to it, and that's part of what makes her look like who she is because of the shape of her hair. Okay, so you know, now that I've got that, I'm just going to block this. I've drawn the hair shape. I'm just going to kind of block it in, knowing that I can change it and fix it. And I see the hair is a little higher than I put it, so I'm making it a little higher, but I'm just blocking it in. Even though it's light on this side, I'm still going to block it in because I can go over the top of it with white paint. So see all this stuff, don't freak out about like I do and everybody else does. Don't freak out about trying to get a likeness right away, because that video, that artist sure didn't worry about that. She's looking a little bit like her already. Now I've got this egg shape. I'm just, you know, kind of trying to figure out where that shoulder line. Obviously, this shoulder, her left shoulder, is higher than her right shoulder. That's the main thing. So just draw it in. And then this shoulder is a little lower. And so, you know, that way I've got her attitude. This shoulder is higher than that shoulder. And it certainly makes it more interesting than if both shoulders were at the same level. So remember, you want to make these paintings interesting, even if they're a portrait. Now I'm going to I'm going to draw her, the top of her hand is basically at the same level as the bottom of her nose. So, you know, we divided the face in thirds, 1, 2, 3. The top third is eyebrows, the bottom third is the bottom of the nose, and then the middle third is bottom of the nose, excuse me. And the bottom third is the chin. So here's the bottom of her nose. And if I draw a line straight across, that's about where that hand starts. And then it drops down at a diagonal, you know, over her lips, actually. And then it goes down and then it drops down. It's just hands are hard, but you see, we're just drawing them as a simple shapes to begin with. And then it goes down for the arm. So let's just, we'll just take a quick little break now and just you all kind of see, I'll make her hair a little darker so that you can see it. And the thing about this kind of stuff is that some of your drawings, they're probably better than mine because, you know, at this point, I'm just kind of guessing, not guessing, but you all might be closer to getting a likeness than me. I'm going to put a little triangle here. There's under her chin, there's kind of a triangle shape, see? And it's dark. So I'm just going to put that in. And now on the other side of her hand, there's another kind of a triangle shape. So I'm going to put that in. I'm not worried so much about getting the values right now. I'm just kind of blocking things in with these darks. And if you're lucky, right from the get-go, your motto is, you know, you can kind of tell that it's the same person. Maybe. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it. Well, you'll work on it. And by the way, tonight it doesn't have to be an exact likeness. That's not the goal. We're learning how to block in a portrait in 2 shades, brown and white. Or if some of you want to use a mid-tone of yellow, that's fine. Right now, mine kind of looks like a Mondrian painting. Mondrian did these paintings of these women with these kind of long faces and poses like this. And I don't know, it just, from my art history, a little bit that I've had, this kind of, so far, kind of, something told me this is like a Mondrian painting. The French painter. So kind of like that painter did, I'm going to look at my reference, and he just put, or she, I just put a couple of dots for the irises, the eyes, just to kind of get some idea of where they are. And I'm not too worried about it. I'm just putting something down. This one's a little further than you might think. And they'll move around, but that's what that artist did, believe it or not. And then later she kind of blocked these sockets in, kind of over the top of those dots. So I'm gonna, like I always do, I'm gonna put a little V right in front of the bridge of her nose, and just kind of, I'm gonna kind of block these sockets off. And I'm going to make these sockets instead of being exactly horizontal, I'm going to make them point up. Because as I was saying, women's eyes tend to go up towards the temple. See, this one goes up this way. This one goes up this way. Just ever so slightly. I don't know. It's a difference between men and women that seems to be kind of a defining difference, I find. And now I'm going to put the shadow on that side of the painting coming down the nose, just to kind of indicate that. And then there's a little shadow under the bottom of the nose to the hand, see? Now, remember, I've done this portrait. This is my 4th time. So I could probably paint her out of my head because I've done her so many times. So you can keep working. I just thought we'd take a little break and just kind of see how everybody is. You know, with these videos, if you watch them, some people don't know this, but a lot of people do, but it's something I discovered, that when you watch a video, you can go to the bottom of the video and there are these little controls, and you click on, I don't know what, it's like a gear or something, and you click on it and you can slow down the video. So you can watch a video very slowly so that you can, follow along what the artist is doing, because when you watch it at the normal speed, it goes so fast and it looks like he's a speed painter. But that's a sped up video, you got to realize. So you can slow it down to like half speed or quarter speed, and you can watch it very slowly. So if you want to do this painting again, or if you want to tonight, if you want to paint over it and to do some corrections, you can do that. You can watch the video and paint as you're watching the video at a slow speed, and then you can stop it every now and then and kind of catch up, and then you start the video again. But it's a good way to paint, to learn how to paint. Looks like Tony's, well, he's taking a break.
I'm here.
Oh, good. So Tony, I see a resemblance to the young woman. I really do. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of do. I have her health. Excuse me. Her head is really tilted.
That's okay. That's okay. And actually, Tony, if you want to go with that, and I say go with it, you can take your reference. You see your reference that you have pinned to the right. Just take that reference and just tilt it a little bit to match your painting, and then that way everything will be right, in terms of angles and so forth. So that's another trick I've done. Like if I have a portrait of someone and they're straight up and down, and I want their head tilted a little bit, I will take that picture like, well, like this one. Say I've got a picture of a relative, and I want her tilted like this. Then I take the picture and I tilt it like this and tape it, and then I paint it like this, and then she's got more of a tilt, or maybe
Right.
Tilt that way. So, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it at all.
Sorry about all the coughing. Allergies have really come up today.
Yeah, Tony, when we were driving to the coast, we went down to Salem, and then we cut across on Highway 18, and we drove through the ryegrass fields.
Yeah.
you know, and they're cut and they're laying in windrows and they're drying, before they pick it up and thresh the seeds out of that dried windrow. And I'm telling you, the pollen's flying, from
Yeah.
that stuff. So that's probably what you're picking up on here in Portland, because that stuff comes up to Portland.
Well, I'm picking up something, the wind is blowing, the trees are all,
Well,
it started this morning.
and also you're out towards Hillsborough, and that's where a lot of that farming takes place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what it is. I bet that's what it is. So how's everybody doing? Linda, how are you doing with your start? I see Tony's. Okay, excellent. Look at how she toned her canvas. See what a difference that makes, but it's lovely. Oh, I think you got a great start. So Phoebe, Phoebe, you came in a little late, but how is yours feeling? Is it started out real kind of general and just loose and everything, or?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not real happy with it.
Oh, I am. I think that's great. Yeah, don't beat up on yourself. No, I see the hand, I see the mouth. Can you see it, Tony? It looks good. That's great. And I like it. You're using more paint. So that's what I wanted you to do.
Yeah, I know.
And it's different because, water, I don't paint in watercolor. I do a little bit, but not much. And it's the principles of art are the same: lights, values, composition, lights and darks, color theory, everything, but it's a different application. So try to force yourself just to use a lot of paint. And for example, in her hair, I think on that egg shape, which you drew, and it looks great. You divided it. It looks, and that hand, everything looks great. I would just make the hair a little thicker, don't you think?
Okay,
Going out.
yeah.
You see what I mean? And then you're going to, mine's a little too thick on this side, but I'll fix it later. But I think the hair could be a little thicker, wrapping around that cranium. So I think we're all in a pretty good spot. Why don't we do exactly like this artist did? And it's weird, but he dipped right in the white paint, and he put the white right, I mean, if I remember correctly, the artist, I think it's a she, put the white paint right on that side. Now it might be too white, but we can glaze it down, but let's just go for it. So this artist isn't messing around. So I'm getting some white paint, and I'm looking at my reference. And on this side of the forehead, there's a line there, and then it kind of drops down on the other side of the socket of the eye, right where the temple begins, and then down the side of the face at a slight angle, and then down to the bottom of the chin. And Tony, I think I remember, you probably watched this video a few times. That's what this artist did. I mean, she just went for it.
Yes.
So let's just try it. And a little bit under the eyebrow, or under the socket, which is where the eyebrows would be. And we'll worry about eyes and all that stuff. And now I'm going to kind of drag the paint over a little bit, just feather it out. See, I'm feathering it out so there's not such a line. And then while we got it right in the hair, the same thing. The artist just put some white, to indicate that light hitting that hair. And it's kind of scary to do, but that's what the artist did. There's no doubt about it, boy. It's a beautiful painting. And then that hand on this side, and then on this side of the finger, it goes down and then down along the wrist. And we can worry about smooth, transitions and smoothing things out. You can do it now or you can do it later. Maybe even down this side of the nose a little bit, just that side of the nose. See, that's where kind of the bridge of the nose and then the wing of the nose goes out a little bit like that. And then the real fun stuff is her left shoulder, this higher shoulder, man, it's just white. That light is hitting that shoulder and then it's casting down. So and this is where Phoebe, try to just paint with thick paint. Just have fun. A little bit on this side. And I don't know, I kind of feel like I've got a little bit of a likeness over here. These modern artists at the turn of the century, at the turn of the 20th century, Cézanne and, you get into Matisse and Cézanne, Matisse, of course, Picasso, Mondrian, these guys, I mean, and women too, some of the women impressionists, they painted like this. And their paintings look like it, and they're exciting to look at.
It's amazing how adding the white makes it really look sharp.
Oh yeah, and it looks bold and it looks confident. And like I say, we're not going after an exact likeness today, so don't worry if it doesn't look like her exactly. Just get those general egg shapes divided into thirds and those general shadows, and then just put on those bright lights and let it just sit there. And ideally, you'd get up and go stand back and look at it. And that's good too. And it'll probably look a lot better from a distance than it does up close. It's kind of weird, because we're doing underpainting, which goes back 300 or 400 years. And yet here's this artist in our day that is creating an underpainting, monochromatic. And she's creating a piece of, beautiful kind of classical style art, but she does it in this kind of wild, bold way. I doubt if Leonardo da Vinci would have done it like this. I doubt if he would have. So I realize I use demos as we paint along. A lot of these teachers, they'll do a big demo at the front of the class, and then they'll turn the students loose, and that's great, But I kind of think it's fun to kind of paint along together because it's kind of sequential, and I think Tony said he likes that, and some of the other artists. It's different though, I think, Tony. Now, what I'm going to do now is kind of mix I've got my darks, and like I say, don't worry about it if it doesn't look like this or like her. Just go for it. I've got my darks defining the features and the architecture of the face, and I've got my lights. Well, what is logical? The next step would be kind of the midtones. So I'm just going to mix, this is where it gets fun. I'm going to take some of my raw umber, and I'm going to put it right in the middle between my white and my brown. And I'm going to mix kind of and this is where you watercolor artists, just grab more paint than you normally would, because I tend not to grab enough paint. So I'm putting my raw umber, I'm putting a little white in it. And I'm kind of creating a mid-tone. And I want enough paint that it goes on thick. And that's still a little too dark, so I had a little white. Basically, I want something halfway between my dark brown and my white. And I'd say that looks pretty good. And if you don't hit it exactly, who cares? Because, you know, it's acrylic. You can adjust it later. And for that matter, with oil, you can adjust it too. And I'm going to look at this portrait either here or in here. You know, in these, I've got my darks, I've got my lights. In between are the midtones. Now there are dark midtones and there's light midtones, but I'm going to kind of just go, you know, where this forehead is, where it meets the light. I'm just going to I'm going to put it all the way across. I'm just going to kind of simplify and just create 3 values: dark, medium, and light. Maybe between those eye sockets is a little bit, and certainly under the eyes. Now we'll work on adjusting these values or lights and darks later, but right now just kind of get them in. I mean, we don't have all the time in the world. We have plenty of time, but you know, you all can work on details tomorrow if you want. And even down here in her, on this side of her clothing, basically that's a midtone. And then she's got a few midtones dropping down here. She even has a few midtones right in her hair, where the part is, those little. And she's got some in her hair. I'm going to paint over these lights, you know, because I put them in, but I can adjust them a little bit. And actually her lower lip, you see, is kind of a midtone. You see, I'm putting it in right there. It's kind of a midtone. Now it might be a little darker, a little lighter. Her chin underneath that's kind of a midtone. So I'm just kind of but you know, this is kind of fun. We're just kind of, we're not being real persnickety about it. They're trying to get an exact likeness. Just for the heck of it, I'm gonna put some of this mid-tone over here just to kind of make it interesting. Well, I might put some darks in here too to make the background interesting. If you want to blend the mid-tones into the lights, you can kind of, you know, just take a kind of a wet brush and just kind of drag some of the mid-tone into the lights. And if you do it too much, well, you just add the lights again later. So she's kind of ghosty now, but as we adjust these, we just have three values: dark, white, and mid-tone. So it's all kind of flat right now. It kind of looks like one of those early French paintings that are just, they are kind of flat. Some of those Cezanne portraits, Matisse, they changed the history of art with that modern painting. I'm going to go in and I'm going to reinforce some of my darks because her hair is darker in some places than others. So I'm going to go back to my darks, and right here on the shadow side, there's a dark strand of hair, and then it goes over. Then there's a little dark here. See, I'm just, and even on this side of her face, there's a bit of a dark. I'm gonna put some darks in my background just to kind of make things interesting. I'm dragging some of these darks into my midtones to just see between her eyes. It should be a little darker. So it's kind of like a crossword puzzle. I'm just looking at my reference where these darks are, and I'm kind of dragging them into some of my lights, if that makes sense. And I don't know if you can see, but you see, I kind of am, without a lot of details, I've kind of got a likeness a little bit. And it doesn't always happen. I'm kind of happy about it. And if there wasn't, I wouldn't be unhappy. I just keep going and look at the planes of the face, the forehead, the bridge of the nose. This light hitting the left side of her face, her temple, or her temple, her forehead, her cheekbone here, down the chin, obviously on her shoulder. But this is very general. In fact, I'm tempted to take a picture of it because I'm kind of intrigued with the generality of it. By the way, you artists, I don't know if you do this, Tony, but every now and then you can take pictures of stages of paintings.
Oh, I do that.
Yeah.
I do that.
And then, you can create a folder on your computer and you can name it, like, I'll name this girl with the light from the left or something, just name it, or give her a name, and do your drawing, and then do the mid stage, and then do a later stage, and keep it. And then, if you have a successful painting and you ask yourself, well, geez, I don't remember what I did to create the painting. Or maybe years later you forget, you can look at the stages and you can refresh on how you did it. Or maybe you like the painting and you want to remember that process that you went through.
Yeah, I do photograph my paintings in stages.
Yeah.
And Ed Rother, who's in the Tuesday class, I really kind of got his idea that he says a painting is not finished until you sign it. So I don't sign it a lot of times because they're not really finished.
Yeah. Well, I like that, And then, the question becomes, well, when is a painting finished? And that's a good question. But I had a good teacher one time, and he told me a good way to know when a painting is finished is if it achieved how you envisioned it in your mind. If you envision a painting of a woman picking flowers on a beautiful sunny day, and you see her beautiful hat and you see her skirt blowing in the wind, and you see that image in your mind, and then you get some semblance of that in your mind. As soon as you reach that realization in your mind, call it done, and it doesn't even have to be super, super finished. It can be detailed or not detailed. Or if you have a photograph of a family member and you get to a point where, you stand back from it and you get to a point where you say to yourself, that has achieved a certain quality of that person or their personality. You don't have to have every hair in place or the clothing exactly rendered, because it's a painting, it's not a photograph. And if you sort of capture the essence of that person that you're painting, and also that the painting is interesting to look at, that there's variety of lights and darks, and it's a successful painting. And if you like it, it doesn't matter what other people say or do. I mean, you kind of got to get over trying to please people, especially your relatives. I've sort of discovered that. I mean, in a lot of cases, the only people that see our paintings are our relatives. So if they don't, oh my God. Okay, that's it. 7:18. Shoot, we got 45 more minutes if we want to stick with it. So are you laying on the paint a little thicker, Phoebe?
Trying to.
Yes, you are. It's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
And just go with it. And we got another class next week on Thursday night, 6 to 8. And then Wayne will take over, and he'll sort of transition into color a little bit, and he'll paint thick too. Now he might paint layers. He might paint layers of colors over other layers. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do, but he's an acrylic painter. Okay, I'm going to leave it. I'm gonna tell somebody to answer the phone. Hey, honey. Hey, honey.
Longer.
Well, somebody's calling me. Sorry about that, everybody. We got a telephone situation here. Yeah, so Phoebe, watercolor is don't stop doing watercolors, obviously. And if that's the medium you want to use, keep using it. But this acrylic painting, just for the fun of it, try putting it on a little thicker, kind of like I did, you know, because I've got thick lights, I've got thick medium tones, and I've got thick brown tones, and it makes objects look really solid, you know, like that pear that we painted, that it looked like a solid object. It's a whole different kind of painting, oils and acrylics, than watercolor. And watercolor is just as good. I'm not saying that. It's just, you might kind of enjoy delving into this this other kind of water media of acrylics. And see how you like it. So Laura, how's yours coming along?
Linda,
Excuse me.
that's okay.
Laura contacted me. There's a Laura that contacted me today, and she said she had to keep her bees, and so she couldn't on Friday. Yeah, and she couldn't make it. Okay, that's good. You see, you've it's solid. You've got the values.
I just got to keep playing with the details.
Yeah. So let's, you know, you can do the eyes, but let's just keep doing what we're doing. I've run out of brown paint, and I have this problem too. I don't put enough paint on my palette. I don't know. I think it's because I grew up on a farm in Missouri, and we were poor, and we never had enough of anything. So I'm parsimonious, you know. I don't use much of stuff, and that's ridiculous. So I think what I'm going to do at this stage is I have my lightest lights, for example, on the side of her forehead, and then I have a medium tone. Now, what I need is a transition between this lightest light and this medium tone. So here's my medium tone on my palette, if you can see it. So I'm going to mix a tone that's between my medium and my light. So I'm going to start another pile of paint. I'm going to put a little raw umber in between, and then I'm going to grab some white and try and create a tone that's not as dark as this medium tone, but darker than this white. In other words, this tone is a transition tone between my white and my medium, and I've got thick paint. I'm not messing around with this stuff. And this transition between the light and the medium, there's a transition there, and I'm going to lay, just like we did with the pear, I'm going to lay in a this value here in between the two, so that it makes that forehead not look flat, but look like it turns and it's round. And I'm going to kind of feather the edge of this new value. I'm going to kind of feather it into the that medium tone, so that there's not a sharp line. Now there could be, you know, modern painting is strokes of paint, but I'm going to kind of make it look more classical. So you see, I'm softening it, and then that makes it look, you know, more three-dimensional and more realistic. And then I'm just going to look on my, this is where it gets to be a crossword puzzle. I look at my reference or my painting, and I'm looking for other similar values. Like over here on her cheek, it's a little lighter than I have it. So I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to put it down pretty thick. Now it might be too light, but I know that acrylics dry darker than they go on, and I can always darken it later. And I'm going to kind of feather, I'm kind of thinking about my edges now. I don't necessarily want, especially on the shadow side, I don't want real hard edges. So I'm sort of feathering it into that dark, you see. And then under her, that area above her upper lip is just a tad lighter. And the other area that's a tad lighter is, you know, on the bridge of her nose, it comes up from that wing, and it's a little lighter. And then also off that bridge of the nose coming down, I've already run out of paint. I didn't mix enough. You see, there's a little bit of light right there. And then also, as this light from her temple goes into her eye socket, it's a little less light. So I'm going to put some of this value right there. I'm going to mix up more paint because I just don't have enough. So this is kind of where the fun part of painting begins. You're just, you know, you're simply trying to match these lights and darks, and it's subtle, no doubt about it. I might even drag down some of these of her hand, drag down some of these diagonals, which will indicate fingers. I know it's hard to see on Zoom. But I'm just starting to indicate fingers, which I wasn't going to do today, but I've got this medium value, and it seems to kind of There's some funny little triangle here. I think it's part of her dress, but I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna put it in. I don't really know what that thing is, but it doesn't really matter. It's kind of interesting. Now, if anybody has any questions, fire away. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to refine a few things with some darks, like the bottom of her nose needs to be a little longer. So I'm going to make that shadow under her nose just a tad longer. And her nostrils are flaring out too much. So I'm going to, and then her lip. I'm going to get my maul stick or whatever kind of stick you have to steady myself a little bit. And I'm going to define that upper lip. There's kind of a, under the nose, remember, there's kind of a V shape. And on this painting, I'm seeing that loud and clear. So you see what I did? It's just a, and let's see. I'm looking at her nose and deciding whether her nose is long enough. I think her nose needs to be a little longer. So I'm going to take a medium tone. And once again, I don't have enough, so I've got to mix it up again. And I'm going to drop this, the bulb of her nose. You know, noses have kind of a V shape that come down between the nostrils, or it's kind of a bulb. And I'm going to drop it a little lower. So just by that, you see, I lengthened her nose. And guess what? That means I need to drop the mouth a little bit. So I've got to, so I'm making a change now. Nobody likes to do that, but it's part of painting. Okay, so now I'm going to redraw that V shape lower. In fact, I'm drawing right over her her lower lip because that's where it was. And I'm drawing over the top of that because I'm lengthening her nose, therefore the mouth has to drop. So you can do it wet and wet, or you can wait till it dries and then correct it. It's always a hassle to change things, but it's usually worth it. So I'm completely redrawing the mouth. You all may not have to. The upper lip, I dropped it lower, and then the lower lip. And because I did that, now I'm going to have to make the chin a little longer. Make the chin a little longer. And, you know, by doing these little things, these little adjustments, I get closer and closer to my model and what I'm looking at, hopefully. But I think I'm seeing that happen. I don't know if anyone started the eyes yet.
I'm massacring them.
Well, don't worry. That's, you know, that's, you notice I've kind of avoided it as long as I could. What I'm happy about on mine is I'm happy that you know, these sockets seem to be about the right relationship to the bottom of the nose and the chin and everything. I think her chin could be a tad longer. Let me fix that. And then I want to go into the eyes myself. And yeah, I'll probably massacre them too. But you know, it's just paint. It's not the end of the world. And the nice thing about paint, I don't know about watercolor so much, but Phoebe, one thing about oils and acrylics, they're highly editable, meaning that you can draw a face and then you can draw right over the top of it and make changes. I think it's a little harder to do that in watercolor, to make a change. But that's kind of my impression of it. So one thing, I think acrylic and oil painting is actually easier than watercolor for that reason. And I can paint, you know, I can paint in lights and darks with watercolor unless you use opaque whites. You know, a sort of a pure watercolor is that you let the white of the paper show through. All over the place a little bit. You got some transparency, but with this, you know, I can change. I can, you know, I put these eyes in and I don't like them. Just start all over again. I just paint over the top of it. Now for her eyes, one thing that you might notice is that you can paint the iris of the eyes and then lay the eyelid over the top of the iris. Or some artists, they'll actually just place where the eyelid is in relation to the eyebrow. In fact, I might even do that first. I might draw the eyebrows in first. Now they're pretty much drawn in because that's where the sockets were, see? But I'm just going to refine them a little bit. So they kind of go up, eyebrows, they go up a little bit. And then they turn down towards the temple. And you know, the nice thing about it with these sockets, I pretty much know where to put the eyebrows. That goes up, and then as it turns down towards the temple. So I've got the eyebrows in. Now that I've got the eyebrows in, I'm going to draw the lower eyelid, and I'm going to do it in dark paint because the lower eyelid, you know, has the lashes, and there's a little bit of a shadow under the lashes. So I'm just going to kind of do that. And this is where it kind of gets tricky. Remember, at least this model's eyes, these eyes kind of tilt up towards her temples. See, they kind of go up like that. So I'm not going to draw an eyelid that's just exactly horizontal. I'm going to draw an eyelid that starts down here and ends up here a little bit. And I'm going to look to see where that eyelid begins, and it kind of begins a little above the nostril, and just a little bit in front of the end of her mouth. So don't just draw them in, kind of look and see where they begin and where they end. And it ends right about there. And once I sort of see where they begin and end, then I'm going to connect them, or try to. So you see, they're kind of, the angle of them is kind of going up like that. The first time I did the painting, I had to redraw these eyes to get that. I'll get a little closer in here. So I've got eyelids. Now, what do I need? I need a little dark spot that represents the iris, placed as I see it in my model. And I'm going to just drop down. I'm going to drop a little sphere from those eyelids that I just put in. And they don't have to be exact, just sort of a placement. And I'm looking at the model and I'm trying to figure out where they go. But it looks pretty good. Now, granted, this is the 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th time I've done her. So you know, eyes can be too close together or too far apart, obviously. Generally speaking, as I've said before, generally speaking, there is, if you're looking pretty much straight on, there's the width of an eye between the two eyes. So you see where I'm pointing. There should be an eye's width between the beginning of this eye and the beginning of this eye. And then I see where the corners of the eye line up, and they line up pretty well. This portrait's kind of rough of mine right now, but I kind of like it because it's I've got a pretty good, I think, a pretty good likeness of and everybody is going to be working on different problems at this point. You know, you're going to be working on a mouth that needs to be moved or changed, or the angle. I see one thing I need to fix. This mouth, instead of being horizontal, it also has to be on an angle. So I just see, I put that lower lip at more of an angle. And now, you know, it matches the eyes in perspective. And now that I got that, now I see there's a wing of the nose above the mouth. I mean, it's just, it really is kind of a, it's kind of a crossword puzzle. And, you know, you can get frustrated doing puzzles, or you can kind of think it's kind of fun. So try to just make it fun. And then on one of the eyelids, the one in the light, the eyelid catches a little bit of the light, quite a bit actually on the side. And I already have white there. It's probably too white, but I'm gonna put a white right there, and then it kind of wraps around. It catches the light. That was too much, but I'll tone it down later. And I'm just going back now. I'm going to go in my whites, and I'm going to add my lights a little more strategically and reinstate them. See, I'm adding my lights again, and because I've changed this face, and so, and the hands and everything. So I'm kind of, I'm slowing down now a little bit because I'm getting a little closer. So, you know, as the painting progresses, things slow down. Or put it another way, I'm going from the general to the specific. And then I'm just going to try and do some of these dogged transitions, which, you know, they're tricky. So I'm going to transition. I just put these whites on this side of the face. I'm just going to try and transition from this white to this kind of mid-tone. And I need to, you can fudge a little bit. I'm going to add a little more white into there to kind of make it a little lighter. And I'm just going to kind of feather it into the forehead, see? And it's a little lighter than before. It's going over the top of what I put in. I think it's a little lighter than before. Thing about these acrylics, they dry darker than you put them on. So it's almost as though you need to think about putting them on a little lighter than you think. That's where experience comes. So this stuff, I'm just, all I'm doing is trying to match what I'm looking at in terms of lights and darks and values, and kind of blending where two values meet. I'm kind of trying to blend the two together, either through feathering one over the top of the other or just mixing. So hopefully this is it's fun. And you know, if you know, things aren't working out, maybe maybe leave that eye and go work on another part of the painting and come back. That's another trick that artists use. And this I've noticed this painting, you know, if you do get to the point where you have some eyes, you know, don't try not to make the whites of the eyes white. Try to kind of make them a dark, you know, the pupils are real dark. So they just need to be a little bit, the whites just need to be a little lighter than the pupils. It's real easy to get them too light. Like I just did. So, but that's okay. I'll just darken what I just put in. That painting video, he worked on the eyes quite a bit, you might remember. I'm not talking too much because I'm sitting here just, it's not exactly paint by number, but I can't really, not being there in person, I can't really make suggestions to each person. I'm just trying to make changes. Like under her nose, there needs to be a little bit more skin showing. So I'm going to drop it a little bit more, and hopefully I'm getting closer and closer. And then I'm softening these transitions as much as I can. And I could work on this all night, with this kind of stuff. If anybody has any questions, fire away. And even the hair, hair has really soft edges. So I'm softening the edges of this hair on the shadow side, especially. I'm going to pull back here and just take a breather for a second. Don't forget to keep your brushes wet with these acrylics. Being an oil painter, I turn my brushes upside down, sticking up in the air, and I switch to acrylic, and sometimes I forget to keep my brushes wet, and then
they get hard.
then I'm in trouble.
I'm gonna have to go, but this is how far I got.
She looks great.
So
yeah, she looks great. Let's see. Take a look, on her left side here, Linda, on this side.
More white?
The hair kind of looks like it's round, but it's really more, it's a diagonal down here, and then it's straight down, and then it goes over. So in other words, there's 3 chops, even on this one. Diagonal, down, and then diagonal towards, and at the top of her head, it's flat. At the very top of her head, it's flat. And on this side, I think you got it. It's diagonal down and then diagonal down. So try and make those shapes.
So I just added another.
Yeah, you see, and you just did it. So just,
okay.
and all of this will help make her look more like the model,
Yeah.
We all have different hair shapes. I mean, I'm looking at all of you, and we all have different, but it's in most cases, it's not round like we think it is. It's not like a halo. It's shapes. So that looks great. So just keep working on it. Yeah.
Maybe not. This is not my forte, but I learned a lot.
No, I think it is. And then your background is the lay-in. Don't be afraid to take some of these values, and this is where you can make it up, like on this side, just kind of add some values in the background too, to make it interesting, because if it's all one color, it looks like she's pasted onto the canvas. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like she just stuck on there, but you want some mood and atmosphere. That's why I just kind of make it up, but you see, it looks like she's sitting in space, especially these more finished paintings. I haven't really worked on it here, but so it looks great.
Thank you.
Truly. Yeah.
I'm a slow painter, so another
Oh, I am.
4
Actually,
hours, I
I
could
am.
get more done.
I am too, but don't worry about it. I mean, who cares?
Nope. It's for fun.
Yeah. Good. So good to see you. So I'll see you next week. You got another
Yep.
week to put up with me.
We appreciate.
We'll do something fun.
Okay, cool. Thank you much.
Okay.
Have a great
You bet.
weekend. Happy
Bye,
Father's Day. Okay, bye.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think mine needs a little more work.
Oh, it looks good. I'm wondering, Tony. Now I'm seeing it at an angle, but I'm wondering where's the bottom of her nose? Is that indicated?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, now I'm seeing it a little bit more. Yeah, I'm seeing a little. I think the nose could be shortened.
Yeah, I thought it looked a little too long.
In
Yeah.
other words, and then the mouth, I think the mouth is in the right place, you see, but I think the nose could be moved up.
Okay.
Don't you think? So all that.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, I felt it was long, and I tried working on the eyes. I still need to work on it a little bit more. But, I kind of like the freedom of it.
I do too. I do too. But, in terms of making that little correction, you just take some dark paint and just put the shadow under the nose a little bit higher, like, a few centimeters higher. And then that's going to leave more space between the bottom of the nose and where the lips begin. And it might be that if you shorten the nose to a little closer to the reference, it might be that you have to move those lips up just a tad. And don't erase. I would just, you've got the V of the lips. You just follow that same design, but maybe just you might have to just move them up a little bit. It's kind of an easy correction to make, believe it or not.
Right. Yeah, I could see it. I ran out of the dark brown. I don't know what it was, whatever they sent me, and all I had was this other acrylic I had. It was lighter brown, and then the other ones that I got from the VA, the brown was still too light than the original one. So the original one was more like this, and I ran out of that.
Yeah. Well, do you have some black that you can just?
Yeah, that's what I
just
I was looking
don't put a
for.
lot in. It doesn't take much black.
I have some black. I could probably add to it.
Yeah, or blue.
Right.
Blue and brown is essentially a dark yellow. So the complement of yellow is violet, but you could add a little bit of blue to your light brown, and that's going to make a dark brown, and it should be just fine. Yeah.
Right.
So go ahead and not today, but go ahead and make those corrections like in a general way, like the video did. Get those quick corrections made, and then start refining the details, and you're going to have a likeness. I see it already. It's just the nose is a little too long. That's all.
Right.
So, but I like it the way it is. I mean, I really do. It's got character. It's got mood, and I love the lights and the darks. It's powerful.
Yeah, I kind of like the large strokes on it, and then leaving it like that, like when she started.
Yeah,
that is powerful.
Go for it, and don't, and the transitions, that's up to you. If you want the planes of the face with broad strokes like Cezanne and Picasso did, leave them. If you want a little bit more of a transition, then you know what to do. You mix a middle value between the values in between, and to smooth it out a little bit.
Right.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before Tony goes, Phoebe, how you doing?
Oh, I massacred her eyes.
I don't think you did.
I love it. I think it's great, Phoebe.
I do too. And like I said to Tony, under her nose, you have her nose about the right length. just put a little bit of dark brown under her nose to create that shadow that's under her nose. You see, let me show you this. This one here, this is my reference. You see under her nose, it's a little bit darker because her nose sticks out, captures the light, catches the light, and then it creates a cast shadow under her nose. So just make that a little darker, and then that upper lip, make it a little thicker and maybe a little darker, and then the lower lip is lighter with a little shadow under the lower lip. You see under the lower lip where my finger is, there's a little bit of shadow. And then if the chin needs to be a little longer, just make the chin a little bit longer with some lighter paint. And I think you've got her. I'm not kidding though, Phoebe, you've made a lot of progress. That her painting looks so much, Tony, her painting looks so much more solid, you know.
Yes.
It's not so, not that, there's nothing wrong with the watercolor, but we're doing acrylic and oil painting, which is more of a solid application of paint.
Right.
So it's a different effect. So she's on to something.
Yeah, I like the way that she has a primitive look about it.
Yeah.
About her paintings, and I like that.
I do too. So everybody's doing well. I'm sorry there weren't more people here tonight, but it's Friday night. It's summertime. The weather's nice, and it's a different night than usual. And now next week it'll be Thursday, the normal 6 to 8.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll work on this week and see what I come up with.
Yeah, and shoot it over to me or put it on Facebook so I see
I'll
it.
put it on Facebook. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Hey, Michael, send me. I know you're listening. Send me what you've done like you usually do, and it's probably going to be great. So
Now, Randall,
yeah,
Michael should be able to post it on the website because I sent him the link.
I know, and I've seen his stuff on it.
Right.
But sometimes he'll email it to me too for comments. But
okay.
Yeah, he's doing well. Everybody's doing well.
He's progressed immensely, I think.
Well, that's probably because he's painting. This stuff is like anything else. Whether it's cooking or playing golf or anything, you gotta do it. That's all.
Well, what I would like him to do is post that one he did on the Monday class. I really like that, what he did. So hopefully, Michael, you'll go ahead and post it.
Yeah. Now, what Monday class are you talking about?
With Gage. That was his last Monday was the last day. That was a live class. It's a live class.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's right. It's Monday. I thought his class was Wednesday for some reason, but that's a Monday class. Yeah. So you guys, for those of you who want it, you can paint twice a week with instruction. That's awesome.
Actually, we're doing it 3 times a week.
I mean, that's awesome. Yeah.
Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursday with you. Okay. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
yeah.
Go for it,
Okay, well, have a nice weekend.
Yeah, you too.
See you next week.
And Phoebe, you're doing great, okay?
Thank you. I think I'm going to watch that video that I missed.
Yeah, watch the video. You got the link, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, watch it. And listen, Phoebe, it's short. It's only about 5 minutes. And it's not exactly the way we did it today. But I think having done what you just did, which is beautiful, I think if you watch the video, it's going to make a lot of sense to you. He puts in those sockets and the shadow under the nose, and then it's going to make sense to you. And the way he blocks in the hair, and then he starts after he gets that initial block in, and it actually looks like the model. Then he in the sockets, then he goes into the details of the eyes, then he goes into the details of the nose, then he goes into the details of the mouth, and it'll make a lot of sense to you. Plus, it's just a fun video to watch. You're going to love it watching it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Phoebe, what branch of the service were you in? I forget.
The Army.
Oh, you were in the Army, and were you in were you in like career, or you just in for a little while, or how long?
Oh, I was just in for a little while.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
Okay.
make a career of it.
Well, that's fine. Well, you're a veteran, so that's all that, I mean, you qualify as a veteran, so that's great.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, you have a great weekend.
You too. And it's
Enjoy
great.
your Father's Day.
Well, thank you very much. And it's great. It's great to have you in my class, and just keep slapping that paint on. You're gonna find that it's a lot of fun. And then you can continue to do your watercolor. Don't stop doing watercolor.
I'll keep at it.
Okay. Okay, Phoebe.
All
Take
right,
care.
thanks.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Michael, good to see you. I don't see you, but I know you're there. And it's great to see your progress as well. So yeah, send me an email when you're done of this. I'm curious to see how you approach this kind of a different generalized approach with lights and darks and midtones. And but you're, as Tony said, you're making great progress. So go for it. And maybe I'll see you at OSA in person a little bit more, because we're opening up down there, as you know. I saw you a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't get a chance to talk to you because I was involved with these kids, I think, or doing something in the office. I don't remember. Okay, so I'll end the meeting, and same time, same station, except next week is going to be the usual Thursday. Okay. Okay. Happy painting, everybody.